Hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel, Poverty Hill Adventures. I've been wanting to put together the following video for quite some time, and I finally got around to it. And what the following video is about some friends of mine who make their own bows. And the following video clips, segments, whatever you want to call them, are from a series of videos that I did on this channel called the Show Your Bow Show. Now the Show Your Bow Show features all sorts of equipment, everything from primitive bows to traditional bows to modern compound bows. But this video here I've been wanting to make, like I said, for quite some time, and it is just the friends of mine who make their own bows, and it highlights some of the bows they've made. This particular self bow was made by our friend Hole in the Bow Chuck. And Hole in the Bow Chuck is a local bowyer and a friend of mine, and he makes self bows. This one happens to be made out of Osage orange. Osage orange is a very popular wood for making self bows. Hickory, yew, locust, there are other bow woods, but Osage is one of the more popular ones. Chuck makes a very nice bow, and he's beginning to get recognition throughout the country for his craftsmanship. Now this particular bow, self bow, is a very rare Hole in the Bow Chuck made bow, as this one has no knot holes in the limbs. Very rarely does Chuck make a bow that doesn't have some sort of knot hole in the limb. Staves that other bowyers would reject, wouldn't want to use to build a bow. Chuck looks at it, I think, as a challenge, and he's made some very, very nice what they call character bows, with that follow the grain, or with a knot hole in it, or whatever. I own other Hole in the Bow Chuck bows, and all of those have holes in the limb, with the exception of this one. They call me Hole in the Bow Chuck because I make bows with holes in them, like this one here. I've been doing it now for probably close to 20 years. Most of them are Osage, almost all of them, especially with the holes in them. I picked up this stave probably down in Tennessee. That's where I usually get mine, at the Tennessee Classic. I've been making bows, like I said, now for about 20 years.
This year is our 20th anniversary for our primitive shoot up at Hawkeye. And what I'm doing, I'm gonna donate this one. I'm gonna donate this one for a door prize at the shoot. This one here, a little challenging, obviously with the hole in it. It came out a little lighter than I wanted. It's about 37 pounds, give or take. I was trying to shoot for around 40, but it's working good. No big issues with it. I took it out and shot it one course just to try it out. It's shooting good, not an issue on that end of it. There was one spot here I thought maybe it'd give me a trouble, but it didn't. Everything seems to be looking good.
Chuck, how many hours does it take to make a bowl like that?
Well, it might, with the holes in it, it almost doubles the hours when you got a hole. You got to make sure it's all down to one ring on the back and so forth. It might take from a stave, you might be putting in 40 hours. Sometimes it goes 20, but it goes anywhere from 20 to 40, 50, 60 hours in it. A lot of it depends on what the wood and what the wood wants to give you.
As far as the finish work on that, Chuck, what do you use as a finish on that bowl?
Tung oil, probably, I'd say 99% of what I make, it's got tung oil on it. I like tung oil. It doesn't flow so good during the winter time, I care. So I got to take it in the house, which it's not always good. You always have problems, but yeah, I'll use tung oil. I try to dip it if I can, but obviously with the big hole, I can't dip everything.
Now, the hole that you're referring to there, Chuck, could you bring it up closer to the camera here? That is a branch that is actually loose in that hole?
That's loose in the hole. I most of the time, they come out. This time, it didn't come out by itself. I could. In fact, like I said, I'm going to donate the bowl, and whoever wants, I'll take it out for them if they want. To me, it's a little different when it's on there. When
it adds some character to it, definitely.
Right.
And you've got the handle wrapped with, is that jute?
Yeah.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah, sometimes I wrap them, sometimes I don't. Most of the bowls I make now, they got a rest, but the rest is just built right into the side of the bowl.
And that's all one piece of wood. That's not not two pieces spliced together.
No,
it's one piece.
All one piece.
It's just amazing, Chuck.
It's Semico. It's a little longer on the top end, which why it doesn't bend the same as the bottom one. I didn't like that, but that's how it come out.
Okay.
And it's shooting. Like I said, it's shooting good.
Well, somebody's going to be just thrilled to win that bowl. It's very generous of you to donate that bowl.
Yeah, I'm getting to that age where I got to get back.
Yeah, I can understand that. Let's take that bowl up to the practice range and shoot a couple of arrows out of it.
Sure.
This bow here, this is one of my favorite Osage bows that I've ever made. It's my Big Bear bow. I made it specifically for an Alberta bear hunt. And was lucky enough to take 2 bears with it and a couple of deer. This Osage stave, actually, I won it down at the Tennessee Classic. It came from a friend of mine, Clint. He goes by Osage Outlaw. He lives in Indiana, and he lives on a farm that has a lot of Osage. And he told me that several years back he cut an immense tree on his property, and he got 100 Osage staves. He called it the 100 stave Osage tree. And I was lucky enough to get the stave for this bow and another stave, so I have 2 of them. This bow here, I made it specifically, as I said, for an Alberta bear hunt that I went on a few years ago. I made it, I believe it is about 50 pounds at my draw length, 26 inches. It's a smooth shooter, and it flings kind of a nice arrow. It's Osage with ebony overlays, and one of them actually I carved to look just like a bear. The grip is hand carved, and I have a silver inlaid bear track in the handle. It's comfortable to shoot.
Hi everybody, I'm just here today to show my Osage orange bow. I made this myself with the help of a friend. It's about 50 pounds. I've got a brain tan grip on here that I made myself. The string is a Flemish string, which is hand twisted. Very interesting. It is made out of 2 pieces, spliced together at the handle. So I don't know if it'll show up, but you'll be able to see that's a little bit 2 different colors on the limbs. And the limbs on an Osage orange turn darker with age. So this one's about 10-15 years old. Shoots really well. I use it exclusively for target shooting and deer hunting. This is the same bow that I use for our primitive archery shoot. I think I've won 2 woods walk with this bow, so it does fine job.
How you doing? My name's Dino. I just want to talk a little bit about one of my favorite bows. I made this bow probably about maybe 10 years ago. I've been making bows for maybe 20 years. My mentors would be Dave Reed and Gary Davis. Actually, this is a piece of wood I got from Dave Reed. This is Osage orange, and it got whittled down from a stave. I'll show you later when we get up to the house. Again, it's Osage. I backed it with rattlesnake, and we have a Flemish twist string on here, and a nice leather wrapped grip. So this bow is probably about 45 pounds. It's a nice comfortable weight I like to shoot with. I've got bows that are heavier and lighter, but this is a really nice hunting bow for me. Very accurate, at least I think so. And I like to shoot myself arrows I make myself with self nocks and wrap with sinew. This past year and the year before, I've been trying to harvest a deer with a stone point. I did get lucky this year and harvest a deer. Unfortunately, it wasn't with my stone point arrow. You can see a little bit of dirt on there, so I did have a miss early in the season. But yeah, so this is my favorite bow. I really like the snaky feature of it. Makes it a little bit more of a challenge to make, trying to follow that grain. And the bow turned out great. Again, I'm super happy with it. So since I made the bow, I've harvested a lot of deer with it, pretty much almost every season. The last 2 years I did take a break from it. I was shooting a different bow, but I came back to this. This is the bow I really love, and it's just really extremely rewarding for me to go out and harvest an animal, whether it's a deer or a squirrel or what have you, with a bow with equipment that I made myself. Those who don't know what a self bow is, basically take a stave, looks like a big piece of firewood, split it down, we seal the ends so when the moisture escapes, it escapes out the belly of the bow, not out the top, and cause it to check. Everything's done by hand. I'll trace out the bow with the pencil, following the grain. These are the tools that I pretty much exclusively use. My draw knife. I've got a cabinet scraper for the fine work. Here's a nice Ferris rasp. This thing hogs off a lot of wood. Then I have my smaller Nicholson rasps to get down to where I need. This is an example of the bow once I get it down to shape. We call this a bow blank. And then from here, the real work starts, where we need to tiller it, which basically means I'm removing a little bit of wood off the top and bottom limb to get the bow to bend properly. So when I draw it, both limbs are essentially bending the same. So real quick 101 on how that works out. I brought 6 bows. These 3 bows are made out of cherry, and these 3 are made out of Osage. I had a friend who had a big cherry tree fall behind his house. We cut it up, cut the logs up, we split it into staves, and me and my buddy and my 2 brothers all made cherry bows. So this is one of the first bows that I made. I just love the color of the handle in there with the heartwood, so I didn't have the heart to put a handle on there, a grip. I wanted to keep it open, but because the cherry bow wood is a little bit different than Osage and hickory, I have to design it a little bit different. So these bows are a little bit longer and the fades are a bit wider. So this was the first cherry bow. This was another cherry bow that I made, and because this bow isn't as tall and the fades are a little narrower, I had to back the bow. And this is really neat. I harvested a carp with one of my other bows, and I skinned it out, and I used the skin to back the bow. This is actually the second carp bow. I did the first one. Second one I learned from my mistakes and made it in, faded them a lot nicer. But at any rate, this is a really nice bow to shoot. Not very heavy. It's probably about 35 pounds. The other bow is also about 35 pounds. And then I brought a bow that my brother made out of the same cherry tree and log. And again, his fades are a little wider, but because it's shorter, we recommended that he backed it. So he backed it with a linen and then added a little bit of a design. And this bow is, I think if I remember right, this bow probably is about 46 pounds or so. Shoots real nice. And then on the other side are some bows that I've made out of Osage. This was the second bow that I've made out of Osage, and this is really old. I don't know, maybe 20 years old, if roughly around there. But anyway, I made this one for my wife. The bow that I made had a little bit of a pin knot. It didn't break, but I was a little bit nervous that it was going to break, so I retired it before it did break. But this bow is my wife's. This is a beautiful bow, and what I love about the Osage is when it starts out, it's really yellow color, and then over time it gets dark. I have another bow at home that's chocolate brown. It's so weathered and dark. Really cool. I like the way it matures. So that's my wife's bow. Oh. This is another Osage. This is the Osage that I hunt with. and this is backed with, this is backed with rattleskin. I like this a lot. The rattleskin doesn't actually add to the strength or help the bow if it's going to break. It's more of a camouflage. So it's more of a utility versus function versus fashion, but it is pretty fashionable. And then the last bow that I brought is a bow that I am making right now. So this is a stave that I got from a boyer who mentored me throughout my years, and so I whittled it down all by hand, and I'm going to be shooting, no pun intended, to get about a 46-pound bow out of this. So I'm almost done tillering it. It's been on the tillering tree, and once I get it tillered up, I'll do the fine work and hopefully have it to hunt with next season.
Until next time, everybody, take care. Thank you for watching. Remember to keep on trucking and believe in yourself even when no one else does.